Severe avoidant attachment usually starts in childhood, and it is the result of parents or caretakers that were emotionally neglectful. The avoidant as a child routinely had their feelings dismissed. If they were crying, they were told to just suck it up, that doesn't hurt. If they expressed emotion or sadness, they were told to be quiet. Their feelings were not heard, and they were often invalidated. When they did express their feelings, it's very common for them to have their feelings gaslit as children. Told that, oh, that scrape, that doesn't hurt. Oh, you're crying? That's nothing. Their feelings were being dismissed, and that's actually gaslighting a child. This results in somebody who is severely insecure. And because they weren't shown much love or nurturing, as a child, they believed that they were unlovable. They may see their friends getting love from their parents, but they weren't getting the love, they weren't getting the nurturing. That doesn't always mean that there was abuse of the physical kind, but there was emotional neglect. They carry this through to adulthood, and the result is a person who is a grown adult that feels unlovable at the core. They fear that emotional intimacy will lead to abandonment. Because you're supposed to be able to rely on your parents or your caretakers for your emotional needs as a child, and they were unable to get those needs met by their parents. The people that they relied on let them down, disappointed them, maybe even rejected them. It's not uncommon for them to have a parent that abandoned them as children, or a parent that was an alcoholic. Emotional neglect comes in many forms, but the result is somebody who has learned to associate emotional intimacy, closeness with abandonment. As a kid, they had to learn to rely on themselves for their emotional needs. This is where that sense of hyper-independence comes into play. Because they can only rely on themselves, they put such an emphasis on independence, and they fear being dependent upon anybody for any need whatsoever. And one of their main fears becomes losing their independence in a relationship, because they believe that if you rely on someone for your emotional needs, you're giving up your independence to this person. And not only are you giving up your independence to this person will eventually figure out that you are unlovable, and they're going to reject and abandon you. These are the fears of the avoidant. They also fear expressing their opinions, because as a child, their feelings were rejected. So as an adult, it's the subconscious feeling that their feelings will always be rejected if they're vocalized. So in a relationship setting, they rarely assert themselves. If something's bothering them, they won't tell you. If they have needs or wants that aren't being met, they won't tell you that either. There's a complete lack of communication when it comes to any unpleasant emotions. This kind of childhood led them to run from problems, run from emotions. They never developed the skills to actually process emotions in a healthy way, so they bury them. They don't face them. They learn to run from problems in general. This also means running from self-reflection, because self-reflection means that you have to face your fears and feelings and see where you've gone right and wrong and take accountability. Well, this is painful because they were never shown how to do so. They were never shown how to express themselves or reflect on themselves in any kind of healthy way. So you have somebody that truly fears any kind of disagreement, emotional intimacy, and it all stems from a fear of abandonment. This is why avoidants push partners away as emotional intimacy builds. It's a protection mechanism. They feel safer keeping somebody at an emotional arm's length. But they still long for connection because that's human nature. So they try to build connection, but then when it gets intense, they push this person away. And until they heal these attachment wounds, these core wounds from childhood, they can result in providing themselves with a very lonely life, because everybody that loves them, they push away. That is how you get to the point of being old and alone. If they never actually work on themselves, if they never truly self-reflect, if they never go to any kind of meaningful therapy, if they never actually dig deep to heal these attachment wounds, they can live miserable, lonely lives without any meaningful connections. And it's a very sad existence. And avoidants often feel a profound sense of loneliness, but they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to reflect. They also don't even know how to handle everyday stresses because they were never shown those skills. They get overwhelmed so easily. Any kind of emotions flood up, they get very flustered, very overwhelmed. This is what happens when kids are neglected as children. They grow up to be adults that don't know how to handle life events in a healthy way. They just learn to run from problems and suppress feelings. And that's no way to live.